Most people think billionaires win because they work harder. It's a pervasive myth, a story we tell ourselves about the nature of success. We picture a relentless, almost superhuman effort as the sole key to unlocking extraordinary wealth. They imagine sleepless nights fueled by endless cups of coffee. They see a non-stop hustle, a life devoid of rest where every waking moment is consumed by the grind. They envision constant, crushing pressure, a daily battle against burnout and impossible deadlines. This image of the lone warrior, sacrificing everything for their ambition, is deeply ingrained in our culture. But that's not the real pattern. That's the story of burnout, not breakthrough. While hard work is an undeniable part of the journey, it's not the defining factor that separates the successful from the stratospheric. The real story is far more interesting. The real pattern is quiet. It's found not in the roar of the factory floor, but in the silence of a library. It's the calm focus that precedes a decisive move, the deliberate stillness where true clarity is born. It's a pattern of deep thought, not frantic action. It's subtle. It doesn't announce itself with grand gestures. It's a series of small, almost invisible adjustments that accumulate over time, creating an unstoppable momentum. It's the slight course correction that, over a long voyage, leads to an entirely new continent of possibility. It's strategic. It's about seeing the entire chessboard, not just the next move. It's about understanding that the goal isn't to do more work, but to get more leverage. This means focusing on the one or two actions that will make thousands of other actions easier, or even unnecessary. And it's repeatable. This is the core of the secret. It's not about a single stroke of genius, but about designing a system that can produce the desired outcome again and again, without your direct involvement. It's about building a machine that works for you. Look closely at nearly every self-made billionaire, and you'll notice something strange. Beneath the public narrative of relentless hustle, there's a hidden architecture, a quiet system that's doing the heavy lifting. At some point, a critical juncture in their journey, they made a fundamental shift in their thinking. They stopped doing everything themselves. They realized that their own time and energy were the ultimate bottleneck. They transitioned from being the primary doer to being the primary designer of the doing. And that decision changed everything. It was the moment they stopped buying into the myth of the solo hero and started embracing the power of systems and delegation. It was the moment their business stopped being a job and started becoming an asset. In the beginning, they grind. They have to. They are the engine, the fuel, and the driver all in one. They build. They turn an idea into something tangible, brick by brick, line of code by line of code. They sell. They are the chief evangelist, convincing the first customers to believe in their vision. They pitch. They stand before investors, partners, and key hires, selling the future. They answer emails. They are the customer support, the sales department, the entire back office. They fix problems. Every fire, big or small, is theirs to extinguish. This phase is necessary, but it is not scalable. It has a ceiling, but the shift happens when they realize something powerful. Their most important job isn't to perform the tasks, but to create a system that performs the tasks. They stop being a player in the game and start becoming the designer of the game itself. If the business depends on you, you don't own a business, you own a job. This is the founder's trap, a gilded cage built from your own ambition. Every success adds another bar, every new client another lock. You become the central processing unit for every decision, the bottleneck for every action, the single point of failure holding the entire structure together. It's a heroic role, but a deeply fragile one. You're celebrated for your indispensability, but that very quality is what chains you to the operational floor, preventing you from ever ascending to a strategic vantage point. And jobs, by their very nature, are finite. They are bound by the number of hours in your day and the limits of your personal energy. And jobs don't scale. True scalability requires a fundamental shift in thinking, away from being the doer and toward being the designer. The wealthy understand something most people never internalize, not because it's a secret, but because it runs counter to everything we're taught about the nobility of hard work. We are conditioned to believe that our value is a direct product of our personal effort, our time, our sweat. This is the path to a good income, but it is a dead end on the road to creating lasting wealth. The real paradigm shift happens when you grasp the profound difference between earning and building. Effort creates income, but systems create wealth. Effort is linear. You put in an hour of work, you get an hour's worth of pay. It's a direct, one-to-one transaction. Wealth, however, is generated by systems that operate independently of your direct moment-to-moment input. These systems have leverage. They can be technological, financial, or human. They work for you while you sleep, while you're on vacation, while you're focused on the next big idea. This is the quiet pattern that separates the operator from the architect. It's the transition from being a gear in the machine to becoming the person who designs the entire apparatus. They stop being the engine and start designing the engine. This isn't about abdication, it's about elevation. The designer's role is infinitely more leveraged. Instead of pushing one lever 1,000 times, they design a machine that pushes it 1,000,000 times with flawless precision. While most people trade time for money, a finite resource for a finite reward, billionaires trade design for leverage. They invest their time not in execution, but in creating frameworks that multiply effort. They build structures that can support exponential growth, not just incremental gains. They build structures, processes, teams, automated systems. These are the foundational pillars of a scalable enterprise. Structures provide the skeleton, the organizational chart that defines roles and responsibilities, ensuring clarity and accountability. Processes are the circulatory system, the standardized workflows that guarantee quality and efficiency, making success repeatable and predictable. Teams are the heart and mind, collections of talent empowered to execute and innovate within the framework you've built. And automated systems are the tireless digital workforce, handling routine tasks with perfect consistency, freeing up human capital for higher value work. These are assets that operate without constant supervision. Their value isn't in what they do in a single moment, but in their capacity to produce results sustainably over time. When a system works, the architect's job changes. They don't micromanage it. That would be reverting to the role of operator. Instead, they strengthen it. They look for points of friction and lubricate them. They identify weaknesses and reinforce them. They monitor key metrics not to control, but to understand and improve. While others work 12 hours a day just to keep the lights on, they think in decades. Their focus is on the long-term resilience and growth of the system itself. They ask different questions, not "what do I need to do today?" but "what system can I build to ensure this is done perfectly forever?" Not "how can I work harder?" but "how can this machine work smarter?" While others grind, caught in the relentless cycle of urgent tasks, they optimize. They make small strategic adjustments that yield compounding returns over time. This is the ultimate form of leverage. The shift from doing the work to designing the work. It is the path from owning a job to truly owning a business. The goal isn't to work more. It's a common misconception that the path to extraordinary success is paved with endless hours and relentless hustle. We're often told that to achieve more, we must simply do more. But the truly effective, the titans of industry, understand a different principle. They see the brute force approach not as a badge of honor, but as a sign of inefficiency. Their focus isn't on the volume of labor, but on the leverage of their efforts. They've moved beyond the linear equation of time for money or effort for result. The goal is to work once, to invest your energy and intellect into creating a system, a process, or an asset that operates on its own. This is the art of building a machine that works for you, long after you've stepped away. It's about front-loading the effort, applying intense, focused work to construct something with lasting value. Think of it as writing a book, composing a piece of music, or designing a piece of software. The intense creation happens once, and benefit repeatedly. The initial investment of effort creates a ripple effect, a cascade of returns that compound over time. The system you build continues to generate value. The knowledge you codify continues to teach, and the asset you create continues to appreciate. This is the essence of leverage. It's how one person's impact can be magnified 1,000-fold, creating wealth and influence that far surpasses what could be achieved through manual, repetitive labor alone. This is the quiet secret behind scalable success. Another quiet pattern? It's a behavior you won't see celebrated in headlines or hustle culture manifestos, because it's defined by what they do. It's a discipline of strategic inaction, a conscious and deliberate conservation of their most vital resource. They guard their energy. They treat it as a finite, precious commodity, more valuable than time itself. Because while time marches on relentlessly, energy can be depleted, squandered, and misallocated. They understand that high-level cognitive work, the kind that builds leverage systems, requires a full reservoir of mental and emotional strength. Every decision, every interaction, every distraction is a withdrawal from that account, so they protect their principal investment with fierce intentionality. They don't attend everything. Their default answer to invitations, meetings, and requests is a polite but firm no. They operate with an essentialist mindset, understanding that most opportunities are distractions in disguise. An open slot on the calendar is not an invitation to be filled. It is a space to be protected for deep work, strategic thinking, or essential rest. They know that saying yes to one thing is, by definition, saying no to everything else they could be doing with that time and energy. They don't respond to everything. The expectation of immediate availability is a modern trap they refuse to step into. They set boundaries on communication, batching their replies, and ignoring messages that don't align with their core priorities. They are not being rude, they are being disciplined. They recognize that a reactive posture, constantly responding to the agendas of others, makes it impossible to pursue their own. Their silence is not absence, but focus. They don't argue with everyone. They choose their battles with extreme care, recognizing that emotional energy is the most expensive currency of all. Engaging in pointless debates or trying to convince the unconvincible is a drain with zero return. They are quick to disengage from unproductive conflict, preserving their composure and mental clarity for the decisions that truly matter. They let go of the need to be right in every situation, in favor of being effective in the situations that count. Time is limited. Energy is rarer. Every billionaire understands. Distraction is expensive. They don't waste time explaining themselves. They don't overextend. They don't perform productivity. They design their lives around clarity, because clarity compounds. There's always a moment, a pivot, a shift from operator to architect. It feels risky, it feels uncomfortable, it feels like letting go, but that's when scale begins, when they step back. The machine grows, when they remove themselves from daily noise. Strategy sharpens. That's not laziness, that's leverage. The quiet pattern behind every billionaire isn't louder hustle, it's controlled detachment. They build, they systemize, they delegate, they refine, and then they step back, not to relax, but to design the next layer. That's the pattern, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Subscribe to Mind Ripple for more billionaire lifestyles.